You know, I'm really not a sea shanty kind of guy. Might be. I might come as a shocker. I'm not really a. It doesn't matter what kind of a coat of paint you slap on one of those songs. I mean, I'm not going to be enthusiastic about it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my nightmare. Welcome to my stream. I've been kind of slacking off. I didn't have one last week. I was feeling a little bit under the weather, and I didn't have one last week. And then I also realized 3 weeks ago I still didn't do one. So, and I think before that I think I've skipped like 3 weeks so far, because in my defense, one of those weeks was the one that Star Fox came out for the Switch too. So I had important things to tend to that weekend. Yeah, I do have a little. I got a little Yosh. I got a little Yosh down there. I put a little. I try to think of something funny to put down there every time I run a little stream. So far I've just done a lot. I think I've done 4. I've done 5 streams, 4 complete pieces, and I've mostly just been doing fan art of existing characters, you know, from video games and cartoons and things like that. In fact, I think I've done an even split, half and half. So a couple weeks ago, it was in the news that Sam Neill, the actor, passed away. Sam Neill, he's been in a lot of really good roles, you know, a lot of memorable movies that really kind of painted the background to my adolescence and early adulthood. Most importantly, among them, of course, Jurassic Park. You know, I remember seeing Jurassic Park in theaters when it came out, 1993. My dad took me to see the movie because there was dinosaurs in it, and I think Jurassic Park was a PG-13 film. It's not rated R, despite how kind of violent it is only a PG-13 movie. So I think my dad maybe thought it was not going to be as intense as it turned out to be. So you know, kind of like this song that's playing right now, that's very distracting. It wound up going a lot harder than it needed to. So the scenes of like the dinosaurs, I really don't think, like, most of the deaths are just implied, right? Like, even except for when the lawyer gets eaten. But that's played up to be funny. But it is kind of a suspenseful film, you know, with the raptors sneaking around in the kitchen and all that. So I remember my dad was like, oh man, he tried to like cover my eyes and stuff because he thought it'd be too scary. But Jurassic Park did leave a mark on me, for better or worse. So, given the news with Sam, I feel like maybe we could do a themed art piece tonight, kind of in celebration of earlier times. I do have a journal on my personal website where I talk about how Spyro the Dragon, from 1998, when that game came out for PlayStation, how Spyro the Dragon was he was my first crush. That seems like an embarrassing thing to admit to, but he was my first crush. And then a couple of years later, you know, internet access was kind of becoming a more widespread thing where I lived. So got online, started writing my goofy little fan fiction stories and things like that, and doing, you know, haphazard, crappy art because I was barely a teenager or whatever. And my first online avatar, he's been retired for an extremely long time, because most of the people who know me, even some of the folks in chat right now who have known me for a very long time, will have always known me. I mean, even my .com, will, you know, have known me as having a dragon as my fursona, I guess, for lack of a better term. But before that, there was another one. He was a dinosaur. He was a raptor specifically, and I would trace that back to having seen Jurassic Park. So this character, Millennium, it was the year 2000 when I thought him up. He's been retired for a quarter of a century, just about. I only used him for a couple of years. So I would like to draw him. I would like to maybe do a pair, like how we did Buster and Babs Bunny. I would like to do a couple of, like from the chest up, like one on the left, one on the right. I have two different poses of him. I haven't drawn him in forever, at least 20 years or more. So I don't have any actual reference art of this character to go by. As all what I had is just pretty much lost. I don't have it anymore. So my reference art today on my little tablet phone hybrid thing over here is just kind of an assortment of anthropomorphic raptor characters, and I'm going to try to cobble something together, with with what I'm looking at, and kind of redo him the way that he used to be. You say, Fangerman says, your mom said it was too violent, but you only ever watched it much later when you borrowed it on VHS tape from your local library. That was, yeah, I remember the library here had videotapes. I think, like, the library here, I remember when I was a kid, because I would ride my bike to the library, because that was one of the only places in town that had internet access in the 90s, the mid to late 90s. So I'd go there, and then usually when I was there, there'd be like a wait, so I'd maybe get a book or something, like a Goosebumps or something. But they also had tapes, and I would get, I remember getting, like, Land Before Time and Secret of NIMH. Of course, they had, like, Disney's Robin Hood. I want to say they also had, like, the VHS tapes that had, like, a couple of episodes of, like, Tiny Toons and, SWAT Cats and things like that. I want to say they had those. I can't quite remember, but I used to get those, too. Alright, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to divide this in half, and I'm going to reach down and turn down my speakers because this music is very distracting. It's good music, compositionally. It's very nice, but it's also loud and it's distracting. It's not good for focusing. Okay, so I'm thinking the poses I've thought in my head. This is kind of I don't want to say a somber thing, but it's more of an introspective kind of looking back on the past sort of thing. So I was thinking how we had Buster and Babs, and they were looking towards the center of the piece, and it's, we wrote no relation in the text bubble there, speech bubble. I was thinking of doing a couple of the raptor, here maybe facing towards the left side and facing towards the right, like two drawings of the same guy, but just kind of facing away. So, and also some kind of, I was thinking, like, maybe on this one, kind of looking up, kind of like towards the right corner of the paper, looking up, and then this one looking down towards the bottom left. So, like, two different poses, like looking down in thought, or, I don't know, prayer, looking up in thought, or something like that. We'll see. So, I think everything I've done so far has been full body, so this will be a unique, I also got to be careful because I'm going to be drawing them everything slightly larger, so I don't want to bleed over into this too much. Alright. So we'll start with the head. Hopefully that wasn't too much yammering for for context. I apologize if it was. Okay, dinosaur head. Is that? I don't know. I feel like he's still looking too far straight ahead. I gotta turn this, I gotta turn it lower. I gotta have something. I'm actually getting a little ahead of myself here. I'm trying to figure out kind of the shape of the head. Whenever I used to draw, like, reptile characters, including dinosaurs and, like, dragons and the like, I kind of had I had a system. I used to draw kind of a rectangular prism for the head. The end result was that a lot of my early art, a lot of the characters I would draw, they wound up kind of looking like they had, heads like a car. Because I would kind of give them unintentionally kind of boxy looking body proportions, because I would start with kind of a rectangular shape to start their head off with. Okay, so head is here. This is also kind of a unique thing because so far all the characters I've done have just kind of been, they haven't really had a snout, so to speak. I mean, Falco had a beak, but still, this is a little something, a little different. Okay. So that'll, you know, jawline here, the neck comes down here, so in the back of the head you have to have like a, let's see. So this will be the underside of the neck. I'm trying to also picture like the collarbone. So collarbone would be like here, and then I'm crossing my median. Trying not to do that. All right, let's see. Draw. Well, then this will kind of be like behind. Because he's going to have his snout. It's going to kind of cover here. All right. So that'll be front of the face. We'll have an eye here, and then you're not going to see that eye because that's going to be on that side of his head. Easy. That saves loads of time. I'm also trying to resist the urge to go into autopilot, you know, drawing kind of a, because this character, this is a little bit more in my wheelhouse, so to speak, you know, reptile character. So I'm trying not to also just, you know, barrel through it. All right. Like that. So the character. He's kind of wore like normal clothes, t-shirt and all that. So, but I'm gonna kind of give him the way that I dress now. So we'll start with the t-shirt. So that'll be the neck of the t-shirt. And I've always kind of worn jackets and things like that. So I'll put a collar of a jacket, and then that'll come out to. Man, that's really. Well, maybe it's not too bad. Maybe, you know, I'll think of something because I've only. I feel like I probably could have moved this an inch that way, but we'll see. If this winds up covering up part of what's on this side, you know, whatever. So this will be the front of the body. Have kind of a. So he's gonna, like I said, he's gonna be wearing clothes, but I'm still trying to figure out, like, you know, where about his chest would be. So I am gonna kind of draw the lingering pectorals. Have a collar there. And the jacket will be open at some. It'll be like the jacket we drew on Falco. Okay. And then this, you know, front of the body. We'll see. Open jacket. We'll figure that out as we go. All right. So this is going to be the shoulder. Right here. Arm. Elbow would be towards the bottom. Doesn't really need to do too much of that. Okay, so that's going to be his collar. So where so it's a jacket. So this will kind of come down here. We'll kind of have kind of follow this a little bit. That'll be that side of the jacket. This side will have something like that. proportion-wise, he looks he looks all right. So then you'll have about right here the collar on the jacket collar, and then the kind of the open part, like where the buttons are. A little bit of that'll just kind of go down into the seam of the fabric here, and then we'll have something similar on this side. Is that right here? So we're angled it a little bit this way, so have something like this. I actually do have doing these streams, and I've been putting them on YouTube, because Picarto, they don't save your streams unless you pay for like the ultimate premium subscription thing, which I'm not really doing that. I'm not really a famous artist or anything like that, so I wouldn't really get anything out of the whole bells and whistles package. So I record everything locally, and then it goes up on my personal YouTube page. I've got a few subscribers there now. It's nice that people are finding it. I had somebody left me a nice comment a few days ago on the Tikal drawing I did. He said I was nice to listen to, and fun to listen to. So thank you. I think that was a slow chat night too. I think, if I remember right. Okay, we got. Oh, hang on. I don't got my glove. Here we go. I thought I was missing something. I felt naked. I just got this too. I started using it when I did the Tikal drawing, and I promptly forgot that I had it, I guess. Alright, so we'll start at the shoulder, and then that'll be like the cuff, right? So the sleeve starts here. Trying not to. Sure, we'll go with that. And have a little bump there. Okay, do that sleeve. You were packing up books and you found a cutout of a Jurassic Park info sheet from the back of a cereal box. They used to give you some cool stuff in those cereal boxes back in the day. I've been thinking about getting them. There was these little Rescue Rangers toys. I don't know what cereal it came from, but you can find them on eBay. And I was thinking about, because they're like $7 a piece, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things as far as like collectibles go. So I've thought about getting a couple. At least, Gadget. Maybe Chip. And I think I've got the Chip and Dale from that set. I don't have Gadget though. Because I found the other two. I found Chip and Dale at a rummage sale or whatever. Okay. So this is doing the other shoulder here. Also, that when I did the drawing of Tikal last time, that figurine has completely destroyed. Because I have a saved eBay search for Tikal the Echidna from Sonic the Hedgehog. There's really not a whole lot of collectibles and merch of her, so I never get any dings on it. You know what I mean? But now. I've had to turn that off because when that figurine that I bought that I showed off that I used for the reference when I was drawing her, from 30th anniversary, that item there's like 4 pages of it on eBay now, so I kept getting dinged for it. I'm like, okay, I've already got one. So until I can redo my alert setting. I'm trying to see what that seam looks like over on this side. I'm trying to mirror it in my head. So it'll be like, as I'm trying to see, it's going to kind of be like that. I guess, yeah. We'll go with that. You know, that arm. I'm trying to figure out what to do with this arm over here, because you can't. We're not really gonna see his hands at all. You know, like, we'll just go with that, I guess. His hands are. I would like to try to avoid drawing hands tonight. Just do a couple of pictures, like pieces like this. But Lou, you're not going to get good at hands if you just keep skipping on them. Okay, so you've noticed I've done the body, and I haven't touched the head at all. This is kind of the inverse of how I usually do it. So I'll start at the nose and then kind of, you know, spread out from there. But I wanted to, because the head is what I'm going to use all my little different pictures and references for. So, let's see. Is that what is this from? Is that what I think it is? Yeah, that's the Samurai Pizza Cats. Okay. Of course, it wasn't that just a thing to be like, you know, ape on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Samurai Pizza Cats, they're cooler. They're cooler. Okay, I'm gonna start the edge of the nose here. So that's have a nostril. So that's the jawline. There. And then, you know, there's like a swoosh to the jawline, because if you were to look at this character head on, his cheeks would kind of puff out a bit. So you have to kind of imply that that depth by here. If I erase some of these guidelines, you can see a little better how there's kind of a little swelling right here. And if he was actually facing a little bit more towards this way, this cheek on that side, you'd have a little bump of it over there to kind of imply the depth over there too. I think I've drawn his head tilted too far this way to worry about that. Okay. Is this like Samurai Pizza Cat's dubstep? I'm not sure I'm on board with that. For the record, I never liked dubstep. You know, that was the thing. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Alright, so then, so usually with the dinosaur characters and things like that, the bottom, like the top half of their head, their upper jaw, you know, that's, you know, significantly bigger because this is where their nose and their snout and everything else is. So the bottom part, you know, there's not going to be as much of a thing here, but it'll be thin and it kind of follow this contour up until you get about right here, and then to kind of help imply the depth, you're going to want to put the, you're going to want to kind of put the flow of the mouth further in, and then, you know, through shading or coloring or whatever you want to do, this will give you a little bit better. It'll make it pop. It'll make the shape pop. You know, this still Samurai Pizza Cats? Okay. I kind of recognize, like, the melody. I was like, oh, that's what that is. And then it's... If I could just get away with playing, like a 70s and 80s, like, rock station or something, I would do that. And then you guys would probably hate my streams because I would just be singing along to all these songs. Be knocking out some Bob Seger, you know, or some Led Zeppelin and everything. Alright, so I'm going to try to get the bridge for the eye in. So I'll go like here. And then, so this is just going to be like the top of the eye. Because there's usually, you know, part of the head has the eyebrow. That shape kind of comes into about like that. Sure. Okay, so that's the top of the head. So we're going to have an eyebrow here, and an eyebrow here, and here, just about. And this is also how you kind of suggest, you know, definition on the head as well. So you'd have the little brow like this, and then kind of match it over here. Let's see. Let me follow this. Let me follow this through. So this part of the head gonna kind of come in a little bit like that. It looks okay. It looks okay. Doesn't look bad. You have like this line from the snout kind of comes up in, and then this line terminates. They kind of overlap a bit, and then that helps. That's what gets you a little bit of the depth with the head. So then I gotta really kind of delineate the back of the... Also, for the record, no quills. No feathers, no quills, okay? I mean, honestly, whenever I devised this character... I mean, it was based on, like, Jurassic Park, so when I kind of devised this character, it was in a time before... You know, it was kind of widely accepted among paleontologists that, you know, maybe certain dinosaurs had, you know, feathers or vestigial feathers, or maybe not, that's not the right term, not vestigial, but like the start, early feathers, whatever you mean, the inverse of vestigial. I'm sure there's a fancy science word for it that I don't know. So. All right. So I'm going to have his eye, I'm going to put his eyes closed. I want his eye to be closed. So this will be like closed, you know, kind of looking down, you know, this way. And then we'll have his eyes open. Like, I figure, you know, like down here, you know, kind of like being silent, you know, maybe praying to himself. And on this side, looking up, of course, the sky. So, you know, for obvious reasons. I just kind of made that up in my head as I'm going, you know. So really, you know, a little more about this character that I'm drawing, Millennium. I was really into like a lot of the action movies and stuff of the 80s and 90s growing up. So technically, he was also kind of like a cyborg dinosaur, like the T-800 Terminator. So, you know, one of his eyes was cool and robotic and stuff. You know, he had a cool like red eye and all that. But you know, I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit classy here, you know. And dinosaurs usually have the little sunken in part on their faces, kind of. And if you look at if you see a fossil, there's always like a hole right there where it's kind of, I don't know what that's called. I don't know what it's for. Now, my character, he didn't really have any stripes or anything. He didn't really have any markings, so maybe I'll try doing some that scale pattern. You know, like when you draw when you're doing art and you draw like bricks on a building, you can kind of give the illusion of bricks by, you know, only drawing a couple of bricks here and here. You know what I mean? And then like the person looking at it, their brain kind of fills in the rest. You can kind of do that with like scales and things like that. It's a similar kind of phenomenon. All right. Let's see. So we do have to have some definition on the body here. You know, I'll do the collarbones, you know, something like that, maybe. You know, maybe have a. Well, I don't want to do too many stray lines up underneath his jaw line, because there's going to be a pretty heavy shadow kind of coming in through right here. I'm thinking the jacket, against my better judgment, I'm going to try my luck at trying to draw something plaid. Because usually that's kind of what I wear, is I'll have the jacket that matches the shirt I'm wearing underneath it. I'm kind of giving them a glancing over, because I think it might be easier to, don't do the pencil line, because I feel like if I try to do the pencil lines for, like, the pattern on the clothes right now, I'm going to lose, like, mentally, I'm going to lose track of where all the current lines are, like, for his arms, and the shape of his clothes, and the shape of his body, and the hem of his shirt. I'm going to lose all of that mentally, because I'm going to start having lines going all over the place. So I'm kind of contemplating with myself, like, inking this, and then erasing the pencil, and then doing more pencil to do the patterns and the further details and stuff. So, like, kind of locking in the outline first, so to speak, and then filling in I guess, the texture and patterns later. So I think I'm going to do that. Let me just, let's see. So his elbow would be about right here. I'm trying to keep track of what's going on. Well, the music's covering up what's right here, but I also thought about, well, I could draw his tail, but I wouldn't want to put it here. If I would draw his tail, it'd be like the tip of his tail kind of filling up this area, maybe, and it would kind of snake behind him. You know? That way it'd be kind of tucked onto this side, because if I drew him here, his back is facing this way, so if I drew him over here, maybe if I did another tail, it would be like in the center. Tell you what, let me ink this, and I'll see how I feel about that afterward. Where do I want to start? I mean, I could start on the nose. You know, that's my thing. Right? Boop. I don't think I'm going to do this in the heavy marker. I'm going to do that with the lighter one, the thinner one that I have. I feel like committing it to the page with this thickness is a little... Because it's not really... I mean, I don't know. I was going to say, it's really kind of an accent like the collarbone, you know what I mean? So this character, Millennium, I really only used him on let's see. He was my avatar on fanfiction.net back in the day. So that's a throwback. Shoutouts. Very close to getting that senior discount at the IHOP. He's also my avatar on LiveJournal. I had a LiveJournal back in the day. I was part of that generation, right? We all had one. I want to say I was on like a Sonic the Hedgehog fan forum. Like when I was younger, I was a big fan of Sonic. I was a big fan of Pokemon, and I was on a message board for both, like individually, each of those things. So I'm pretty sure he was going to be my icon on those as well. And I honestly, I'm pretty sure it was just artwork that I had done myself, so it looked, not very good. Because Turn of Millennium, like I said, barely a teenager. Yeah, I noticed I got I got a couple blips on the frames real quick. Let me see something. It's probably fine. Is the music on? Oh, it's changing songs, okay. Ys 8. Never played an Ys game. I've been told I should, but, I have a job. I don't have the time to play an RPG that takes forever. The way I used to back in the glory days, like when I would post on a Sonic forum as this guy. Though I've never played an Ys game, I do know how to say the name. I have that going for me. Are Ys 1 and 2? They don't take too long? I think there's a Steam, they're on Steam, right? They've been ported everywhere, you said? I think there is like an Ys collection or like a Ys Classics or something. She likes saying is yes. Well, isn't that cute? But it's wrong. Alright, so we'll have a little bit of this here. That's going to be the sleeve. Have that seam. And I'm trying not to draw these. I'm trying not to make these too straight of a line because it is clothing, so it's there's going to kind of be some flow, movement to it. It's not going to be. I mean, go look in the mirror. Your clothes on a straight line. Looks pretty good. That looks good. I'm liking the way this is coming out. These terms are acceptable. Okay. Before I ink this, I think the reason. Okay, hang on. I think the reason why this arm was looking so weird to me is because I don't think this line needs to go all the way up, right? Because you're going to see some of the shoulder. So this would be... Where's my pencil? It would be like this. That's... Yeah. Oh, okay. See? Easy. I literally erased an inch of pencil and then adjusted that slightly down. I'm like, oh, it looks perfect now. That's art, that's art. Yeah, so Yes is on Steam, GOG, PS2, DS, PSP. There's mobile ports. It was originally on the it was a Master System game, right? Sega Master System? Or was it on one of those like Sega SG-1000 consoles for the Mark III or something? It was on one of those first. Pretty sure Jeremy Parrish has done a video on it for the Sega Works series. I've seen it. I know I've seen it. Intentionally saying the game is Yes is kind of like how some people, myself included, say the name of that. We pronounce it that game. You know what I'm talking about too. We say Yick. We don't say Y2K. It was on the PC Engine CD-ROM. I was way off. I was way off. PC Engine. That's the Japanese. That's the Turbo Graphics, right? I know I said I wasn't going to do this one in the heavy ink, but I'm going to do a little bit of that, and then I'll continue it with the lighter one. Let's see. It's looking good so far. It's looking alright. It is looking alright. Well, I don't think... Was Ys on the Genesis, or was that... Are you thinking of Phantasy Star? Because I know there was also... There was the Phantasy Star was another big Sega RPG. Phantasy Star, that one did start out on the Master System, and I remember playing that, not contemporarily, but playing it long after the fact. I think I was in college the first time I played it, and I remember like going through the... It's one of those, not dungeon crawlers, but you go in the dungeons and it's a first-person thing and you walk and it's a little maze, but it is in first person and it is animated. I know the games that Phantasy Star looked like, you know, back in the MS-DOS days and stuff, like Marath's Revenge or Marath World, whatever it was called, you know. Legend of Grimrock is a more contemporary example, and it's you walk in the things and it just like, you just teleport, you know, ahead and you see like a place where you can turn. Well, you know, Phantasy Star is kind of the same thing, but they actually animated the steps you take through the, like when you're in the dungeons, and the walls will like animate as you walk, but when you hit a corner, they did like, there's an animation, it's like 4 frames, but of you going around the corner, because other games you would just, you know, just immediately turn. And, you know, for the time, that was a big deal, and of course, I'm sure seeing it in context of the era probably would have blown me away, but I can still appreciate the you know, technical accomplishment of getting it to do that. It's really cool. I think, yeah, so the first Phantasy Star was on the Master System, and then 2, 3, and 4 were on the Genesis. And I think if you get like those Sega Genesis Classics collection and stuff like that, there's like one on Steam or whatever. You get like Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4. I don't know why they've not just done like a... Actually, they did. So for the Game Boy Advance, there is the Phantasy Star collection, and you get 1, 2, and 3, but not 4. Which is weird because, like, I would imagine getting Phantasy Star 1 to work would have been a little strange because that one is the odd one out. That's the Master System title. And I'm pretty sure you could play Master System games on a Genesis, but you had to have, like, you know how, like, there's, like, the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo? You plug it in, and then you put the cartridge on that. There was, like, the same thing for the Sega Genesis. It was called, like, the power converter, power base unit or something. So it was possible, but not without additional hardware. So I'm thinking, like, why did they go to the trouble of getting Phantasy Star 1 on the cartridge and not 2, 3, and 4? I mean, either way, you're not getting a complete experience, but I feel like 2, 3, and 4 would have been the easier route, I guess. I don't know. And plus, Phantasy Star 1, as you know, as much of a milestone as it is, it's not a particularly good game. In hindsight, it hasn't aged really well. It's very grindy. So I feel like 4 would have been the more. I mean, that's the last one. That's going to be the most refined one, right? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. He looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. So I'm going to kind of come in. We're going to do. We're going to draw his teeths. Okay. Because I did leave these out. Give him some teeth. And they kind of get smaller as they go back in his head, you know. Draw some teeths. So we'll ink those. I'm thinking, I'm not really missing anything here. Just I didn't do those. I kind of left those off on purpose. I said I'll do the texture here, the pattern here. So with the shirt, you know, I've kind of, let's see. This is not relevant to the character in the context of when he was created, but I would kind of like to modernize him a little bit. For a long time, he used to have a really cool necklace. There was a little a dragon. I'm going to draw it on him in a second here, slightly modified. It's a little dragon head pendant, like a little pewter pendant that I got at a Renaissance festival a long time ago. Because we're talking already, this necklace was like 13 years ago. And I had this little pendant I got at a Renaissance fair. And to either side of it, I added to it. And I dutifully collected. I bought every different flavor of monster that there was at the time. You know, there was the green one and the low-calorie one. There's blue. And then there was the purple one that I don't remember. Orange one was like dreamsicle. The yellow one was iced tea. And the red one was Assault. That was my favorite. I think just in soda in general, the original Monster Assault was my favorite. They brought it back in a camo can with the red tab. And it was just cola flavored. It was totally not bad, but it wasn't Assault. So I collected all of these and made these little rainbows on the side of it, you know? So I was thinking about drawing that necklace on him, but replacing the pendant with like a cross or something. So. Let's see. I mean, I wanted to have all the erroneous lines kind of removed before I started doing more details. This is not a bad idea, you know. If for characters that actually have a little more detail, is kind of doing this first. Okay, I was going to say this music sounds familiar. What is it? It's Super Metroid. I feel like the T part of the cross is off a little bit. It needs to go up. Like the whole thing needs to slant a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little better. Sorry, I am the, you know, these days, I am the inverse of a heathen, so. Right. Okay, that's. Psych, I'm going to draw it upside down. Just trying to get the perspective to kind of match the way his shoulders are. You know what I mean? gonna be a little doodad here. Maybe I shouldn't have done the hem of the shirt like that, because if I try to draw the little things, it might, you know, this line's already here. So I think it might be best if I just stick with just a little cross pendant instead of trying to put the embellishments on the side. I think it might be easier if I just kind of do it this way. So that's maybe that's a strike against inking and then doing more pencil art, finalizing the, because otherwise I could have erased that. I could have erased that hem. I'm gonna make that a little longer. It just looks weird. Crosses are kind of a weird thing to draw because, like, it's very easy to just accidentally make them look like a lowercase t. You know, like, it's weird. If you don't do the proportions right, it winds up looking like just a letter. Alright. Oh, where's mine? It's this one. I tell you what I think I might do for this stream. Remember how when I did the Tiny Toons, I did one, I did Buster first, and then, you know, then I did Babs. Thinking about doing that with this. So I'll finish this pose on the left, and then, you know, kind of call it a kind of dog ear there. Dude, is that Baby Mario? That. I'm this close. I'm this close, I swear to God, from just wheeling my cassette tape CD combo player out here and setting it right over here and just putting in a Wang Chung tape or something and just listening to that and saying, I don't care about copyright. The Baby Mario thing that's like Chinese water torture, dude. Like that. What were they thinking? It just seems like this song is like it's like a cacophony of different sound effects from Yoshi's Island, because I heard the pipe sound or whatever, like when the enemies pop out of the pipe. Somebody shut that kid up. The game that turned off an entire generation from having kids. I say that jokingly, but I guarantee if you go on like r/childfree on Reddit, you know, you'll probably find a moderator there who has it in their bio that says like, oh yeah, I played Yoshi's Island when I was younger, and I don't want kids. All I'm saying is that people are entitled to make their own decision, make their own life decisions and choices, okay? Not all decisions are made equal. Okay, everybody has a valid every reason for not having or having kids is valid. Some are not as valid as others. Okay, if you were raised in a kind of a rough family and you just feel like you don't have the equipment to do that job yourself, I get it, okay? You know, if you're infertile and you don't want to adopt, you know, because you don't think it's the same thing, I get it, okay? It's fine. And if you played Yoshi's Island on the Super NES in 1994, and it really, really, really pissed you off because of the grating sound of Mario crying, I also like that. If you hear that and your hair, the hair on the back of your neck stands up, I get it, okay? You know, it's a stupid reason, but I get it. All right, so he doesn't look bad. Honestly, he looks pretty good. It's not Raptor Jesus, by the way. We're not doing that in case you're just now tuning in. Let me see. So plaid stripes. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, okay? We're gonna do the plaid. Okay, here on the collar, not here on the inside of the jacket where it's open. On the shoulders and chest, on the sleeves. Okay, because that is, I can picture in my head the patterns here, but I don't know how to do it on this, so we're going to kind of skip that and just kind of, you know, fudge it and use some cross-hatching to kind of fill that in, just like that, okay? So, I guess I'm going to start like this. Saw one of my friends at the Dollar Tree today. She was there. She has a little pet chihuahua. She draws a lot of fan art of. She's kind of like me, you know, remembering all these cartoons and shows from a bygone era. She's a big fan of like the Casper the Ghost cartoons and all that. We got to talk in a while. She's actually my neighbor. I just don't see her all that often. So we caught up a bit. I told her I was planning on drawing some furry art tonight. Okay, hang on. Let's see. I can probably hide this one. Do this. So match this for this. So we're gonna have like this is gonna kind of come like that. You know what I'm gonna do? So I don't like okay, because this just happened. I'm looking at this, right? When I drew this, I don't know how you guys saw it. When I drew this, I did this as a stripe, this as a stripe, this as a stripe, and then the vertical one right here. But as I was looking at this, it flipped in my brain. So I am going to do little X's in all of these so that I remember where I'm supposed to hatch all of these, cross-hatch all of these. The human brain is stupid. Very stupid. F- would not recommend. Alright. So then, you know, maybe the pattern will be a little bit. I'm going to do the sleeves next. Mario Kart? No, it's not. This is what it would sound like if I tried to play a Mario Kart song on the piano. Not this part. This part kind of sounds good. That. Okay, go like this. And then, gotta kind of imply where the bend in the fabric is. Mario Kart was one of those games that, like, I like it, but I am just not good at it, like, at all. You know, I know a lot of the tracks. Wouldn't say by heart. I mean, everybody knows about Rainbow Road. It's the road that you go. But yeah, it was. I'm just not good at it, which is unfortunate because I do objectively like the game. It's one of those ones that, like, you'd go to a friend's house and play it, and I'd be like, ah. Trying to mirror kind of what I've done over here a little bit. Okay, well, how did I do it like this? How did I make it so there's going to be 5 stripes on this arm and 4 on the other? Well, this one is closer, I guess. So we're going to be seeing more of this arm, despite the fact that it's behind him. There's still 4. But that's a little sus right there. That's too big of a stripe. I'm gonna move that here. Move that here. Move that here. Yeah. Okay. It's looking alright. It's looking like I'm drawing him in a sparkly jacket, though, until I finish it. I guess it'll look kind of funny. Alright. I guess I should probably also think about maybe doing some I guess, strain lines. Some straining lines on the shirt, maybe, I guess, you know, like a couple of those. Probably should also do the upper hem. I should think about doing that. I'm thinking when I start doing the lines for this, kind of like how I did a little bit of this one in the thick marker and then finished it off with the thinner one, I'm just going to do these lines in the thin marker to start with. That's what I think I'm going to do. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do the shading, you know what I mean? Like because it's obviously, you know, plaid. When each line, for lack of a better term, let's just call it 50% opacity. Where they cross, it's going to be 100%. It's going to be darker. So I'm thinking the easiest way to do that would just hatch in the other way, and it would fill in more of it. But then it would also kind of go against my usual advice of, like, Don't cross-hatch in the opposite. I mean, if you're going to be hatching only, then, you know, cross-hatching is a different kind of thing, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm just thinking out loud. And then, of course, the one thing you got to realize about fabric patterns like plaid and all that is that they don't, they very rarely ever line up, you know, where the seam is, where the fabric is stitched together. So it's also something to kind of keep in mind. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like this line being along the entire inside of where that's folded over. I can kind of, I'm having a premonition, I'm having the second sight, and it's telling me that it's going to look really weird when I start inking that. So I'm not going to do that. Not hatching from an egg. Hatching like drawing the line. You know what I'm talking about, Bancheroni. You've been on some of these streams. I feel like I've heard this song before. Yeah, Radical Punks from Chrono Cross. This is an old one, right? Let me look before it goes away. Before it goes away. When was it posted? Yeah, 2001. Yeah, I was like, because I could have sworn this is another one of those, the many ones I had on my iPod Nano when I was in school. I had an iPod Mini, older than the Nano. God, I was such a weirdo. And these days, anybody doing this, I'd be very wary of them, very sus. But when I had my iPod Mini, I actually had a little printout of a very sexy dragoness in a bikini, and it was like taped on the back of my iPod. It was in like a case. It was like a little plastic case, so it was like in between the plastic of the case and then the metal shell of the MP3 player or whatever. You do that today, that's like, you know, it's like weird gooner stuff. I mean, I guess it kind of was back in the context of the era too, but I just seemed it was a more novel thing back then. It was like it's like those trucker mud flaps that have like the reclining lady on them, you know. She's got like her legs kicked back, or you know the pose. Or like having a Playboy bunny logo on your mud flap. It was cool. It was like, yeah, I know about women. So see, like this stripe I've got right here, it's not going to line up perfectly with that seam. And if you've ever looked at like a piece of plaid clothing, you know it's the same way. It is just like slightly off. I was talking with one of my friends the other day, and he was telling me how he has problems with like motivation. He was like, "How do you just draw something, you know, once a week?" I was like, "Well, I just do it. You know, that's it. I mean, there have been some weeks I've missed my streams and stuff like that because I've been like genuinely like sick or not feeling well. But like tonight, I'm like, you know what? It's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna do my thing." Time to do the dancing. Time to show me my moves, okay? Oh, dude, Mario's getting at it, dude. He's working it. I remember the first time I saw Super Mario 64. That's like one of those things, right? Mom and Dad probably remember where they were when Kennedy got assassinated. And I know you probably remember where you were on 9/11. I remember where I was the first time I saw Super Mario 64. Oh, it's weird. This is going to be a conundrum. So, okay. That's how are these stripes going to look on... They're going to kind of come up... So, the way like these kind of curved out to this way because of the contours of the body, these are going to do the same, but I got to be careful not to turn them into the ones that go the opposite direction, you know what I mean? Hard time visualizing this in my head. Okay, I can figure this out. It's just geometry, you know? Okay. Thank you so much for playing my game. That's good. I'm gonna start doing the stripes crossways from here. And I'm gonna think, oops. And I think maybe as I fill in the fabric, working from the bottom up, it'll just kind of click and make sense. Hopefully. Oh, dude, GoldenEye. It's the game of a generation right there. As people like to say, the game that everybody played, the movie that nobody saw. Lou, that movie was a box office success. I know. But I didn't see it. None of my friends did. At any point in our lives, ever. Game came out 30 years ago. I've never seen the movie. I don't need to see the movie. I know how it ends. I played the game. Trevelyan falls off the antenna cradle, you know? And it looks really funny if you put it on fast mode. Okay. See, this is kind of what's confusing me. It's like where maybe it was, if I just kind of I got really quiet because I'm trying to picture this. You know what? Where's my... Hang on. I just went and got one. Oh yeah, there's a right. Okay. Yeah, so there's a seam across. I mean, duh. There's a seam across it. That's why it looks. There's a seam across the top of the shirt, the top of the jacket. So that. There's also one across the back. I didn't do pockets. I like no way. No. No way. Not doing pockets. Okay, so what does that change? Does that change anything? I mean, not really, because I'm kind of looking at where the armpit is, where those seams meet. I mean, like I said, it does just hit the thing and just kind of terminates there. So. I almost feel like it's the contour. I don't know. Maybe it's just tricking me because the contours. We'll see. It's probably fine. You know what I noticed? So maybe I should. I should maybe just do the insides, right? At least like that. That's better. Okay. I'm gonna get some of this stuff in. A couple of the what I call them, strain marks, stress marks on the clothes. Bottom hem, the shirt, slightly thinner. That looks good. That looks good. Okay, now I just I put this off the entire time. I just don't want to do it. It's got me so anxious. All right. This is like, you know, you watch LA Beast on YouTube. He's like, just shut up and eat the food. You know, like this is where I am. Just shut up and ink the drawing, okay? Take a drop. My mouth is getting dry. Gotta take a sip of water. Punch Out. This is another old one, right? Dream Fighter, yeah. Dream Fighter, Dream Fighter. Come on and fight him if you dare. It's Clay Fighter, by the way. Dude, one of my childhood friends, he had Clay Fighter for the Super NES, and we would put that game on and just we would like dance to the theme song in his bedroom. You know, we were like 7. And I eventually, this is something funny. I don't know if it does it on emulators, but it does it on real hardware. So emulators might inadvertently fix this. But if you let the theme song to Clay Fighter, so if you've never heard it before, there's music, but then there's also vocal samples that are in the song, where the vocalist is like, Clay Fighter, Clay Fighter. They have these little vocal samples. There's also a ooh like that in between, like the bridge when they do the chorus. And we noticed that every time the song, like at the start of the song, the vocal samples already feel like they're like half a beat, like 16th of a beat, you know, off a little bit. And they are, because the more the theme song loops, the further off they get from the music. So you can eventually it sounds really funny after a while if you let it play for a while. It's not looking bad. It's not looking bad. I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna commit to it. Who knows, if I like this drawing of my character enough, maybe I'll just put that one in the bottom right corner of my, because he's facing the right way, bottom right corner of my website. Right now it's a similar, I mean, this is one of the pictures I was looking at for the poses is the picture of the dragon that's in the bottom right of my website. That drawing was done by an X. There's a journal about him on that website too. It's not like a call out or anything, you know. I don't do that. It's just very introspective. You know, at this time in my life, this is one of the most important things to me, and it didn't work out. And 20 years out, here's my thoughts on that whole thing. You know, funny thing, I'm inking this. I was looking for stuff, some goofy stuff on AliExpress the other day, and I was seeing if there was like a stupid, like, you can find like art prints on like pressed metal, and I was seeing if somebody had made one of the like the Super Nintendo cover art on one of those little metal signs, just so I could hang it up in my garage or whatever. And they did have some stuff. They had a stolen poster that was funny, and it was color. It was a color poster, and I actually own the. I met the artist of this poster. I don't have it handy, but I met the artist at a convention, and I bought the original, the ink original from him. He was one of the comic artists for IDW, and I bought the original off of him. And he did give me a print of the digitally colored version as well. And it was funny because I saw that listing on AliExpress. I was like, I've got that. I did the Leo DiCaprio. He's like pointing at the TV meme. I did that because I was like, I've got that. Yeah, so that's a shrug of acceptance. It's neither approval nor disapproval, okay? I'm really glad like 3 lines into doing this, I had the idea to put the X's and mark the lines. So I was like, yeah, I would lose track of this really easily. You know, for better or worse, people in my day-to-day life do kind of recognize me as a fan of Star Fox. I was at a video game shop yesterday, and I had been in there a couple weeks ago, and I asked, I was like, hey, did you get any like figurines or anything, any merch, whatever, for the Star Fox game for Switch 2? Because I was also in there seeing if they had a wolf amiibo, because if you scan an amiibo, you get some stuff in the game to decorate your profile with. And I have Fox and Falco, because of course I've got Fox and Falco. But I don't have a wolf amiibo, so I went to go see if they had like a used one. And they didn't. And I also asked, I was like, well, do you have any other stuff from the game? And they're like, no, they didn't send us anything. We didn't get anything off the truck. It's like, okay, well, whatever. Thanks for checking. And I went in there yesterday, and in that time, they had gotten a shipment of some Bon Presto, I think, plushies from Japan. They're really nice ones. They're like $35 a piece, I think, or 32. And they had a Falco and a Fox, and they had the whole cast. And I went in to the store, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's Lewis. We know you. Is this something you're interested in?" And this person, the cashier, it wasn't the same cashier. It was a different cashier, meaning they know me. And she went into the back room and came back and had a little Falco guy and showed it to me. And she was like, "You're the guy that likes Star Fox, right?" I'm like, "Okay, so I guess I have a type, I guess, you know." They profile me. And I was like, "Yeah." And then she showed me the little plush toy, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take them. That's cool. I don't have one of those." Anyways, that's customer service, okay? GameStop, take notes. It doesn't look bad. You know, it doesn't look bad. That's one of my catchphrases. It's one of my taglines. You know, drawing something and be like, I don't hate it, but I don't hate it. All right. So, I'm not going to erase any of the pencil lines because that's going to take the X's with it, and I need those for reference. So I think I'm gonna do this again. This is a weird drawing because I'm kind of doing steps out of order. I've done things in a different order than I usually do, let alone, you know, drawing the face and stuff in a different order compared to how the order I usually draw things in. So I'm actually going to do the pattern on the shirt, and then I'll worry about going and inking the further details on the rest of the body. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the double cross hatch. So I'm going to go through and do these as just traditional hatching. And then on the intersections, I'm going to come back and do it the other way. Because so far, I mean, if you've caught the previous streams I've done or just checked out my YouTube channel, you'll notice that, like, my hatching lines only ever go one way because they have to be uniform. It's kind of like if you color with like markers and things like that, like Copic and watercolor markers. You don't want it to scribble because you can see the brush strokes. Everything has to be uniform, and you got to layer it carefully because you'll see that when they overlap. So let's see. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hatching traditional versus hatching simplified. Hey, Chinese is a hell of a language, man. It's interesting because it's like the symbols like all mean different stuff. You know, like there's not a word for horse, there's a symbol for horse. That's fascinating to me. I mean, these days we have an emoji for horse, so it's kind of the same thing, right? We got a Donkey Kong song playing right now. I'm thinking I would like to draw a Kremling at some point. I just got to figure out which one. maybe Critter. He's like the regular one that just kind of jumps. Yeah, is the Crusha's the big muscular one. I'll admit I do have a thing for him. I like Crusha. There's like Clumbo or something is like the big fat one that holds the cannon. I think Critter is like the little one that like jumps up and down on the stages where you see him. I don't like King K. Rool, which is weird because he's like the leader. He's the king guy. I don't like K. Rool. There's something about him. He's weird, big fat guy. You know, not my body type. He has a weird like bulging bloodshot eye. I don't know. I don't know. If I drew King K. Rool, I would clean him up. He wouldn't be King K. Rool anymore. I'm like that way with like Bowser too. He just looks weird. He's like a turtle. I don't know. It's hard to make turtles hot. Is this Link's Awakening? Yeah. I heard the tall heights. I actually have the Link's Awakening remake for the original Switch, and I did get the I got the Heroes ending in it, which is to beat the game without dying at all. And you get a special ending. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it's a little something for if you're a fan of the game and the story and stuff like that. It's a nice little way to kind of tie a bow around the whole thing. Also Yoshi, he's in Link's Awakening. Makes a cameo. So does Wart. He was the bad guy in Mario 2, by the way, in case you don't know who that is. I would like to draw Birdo someday. I like Birdo. She's my favorite, like, actually, she's my favorite Mario character. Not a joke. No japes. Remember, I got Link's Awakening. I didn't get the first one. I got the Game Boy Color when they remade it for Game Boy Color, and it had the bonus dungeon and stuff in that. I got that, and one of my best friends growing up, his birthday is literally like the day after mine. I'm 1 day older than him. I've really put that extra day to good use, haven't I? But yeah, since we had birthdays around the same time, we both got the year that the Game Boy Color Legend of Zelda came out, we both got a game because we both had Game Boys Colors, and we both wanted that game. So we actually would like bring our Game Boys to school, hang out over the weekends and stuff, and like figure out how to beat it and kind of swap tips back and forth. But like there was still kind of a race. Like we were racing to see who could beat the game first. You know, like because ultimately we got it at the same time, so we wanted to rub it in the other's face. Like, yeah, I got there first. So we were hanging out at my place. This was over a weekend, and we were playing. We were both in the final dungeon, where you're fighting the nightmares. And you know, if you've never done the final boss in Link's Awakening, it's a multi-stage thing, and every boss, like, it's a nightmare that it's a black shadow that changes forms, and it assumes the forms of at the time all of the different bosses that have been in the Zelda games up to that point. So the caterpillar thing where you got to hit it on the tail, the Goma where you got to shoot it in the eye, Aghanim, you know, all of those. And you know, we're working through this, and we don't know how many there's going to be, you know, because every time you defeat one of them and you think that's going to be the end, no, there's another one, there's another form. So we're both at the final boss, we're both fighting it, we're both dying, we're both using fairies, we're both using, you know, potions, we're staying in the game, right? We're staying in the game. And then finally, I get the final blow on, I don't even remember what the final nightmare is, but I defeat the final guy, and it does the extended, you know, boss dying sound effect to let you know you finally did it. And then, you know, the final cutscene starts to play, and I showed it off to my friend that night. He got so mad. Like, he got actually, like, I don't want to say, like, crying mad, but, like, the kind of mad you get when you're just, like, really, really pissed off. It's kind of funny. He and I used to have a Pokemon website together on Homestead back in the day. Not GeoCities. We went with Homestead because I think I'm pretty sure it wasn't subdomained on Homestead. I'm trying to think because I had a BattleBots fan site on Homestead as well. It was called Robotic Combat with a K, like Mortal Kombat. Very cool. Yeah, the Homestead Pokemon site was called Pika's Poke Palace. And I remember we were still learning the term because we didn't really know. Like, Jesus Christ, it was like 1998. We didn't really understand the concept of index.html. So the website was like homestead.com / Pika's Poke Palace, all one word, / firstpage.html. It was like, it was a really, really long URL to get there. We had some cool stuff on that website because he had a Game Shark, and eventually, man, I was wheeling and dealing. I traded him some rare Pokemon cards for his Game Boy Game Shark. I'm pretty sure I gave him a base set Blastoise and one or two of the promo cards from seeing the movie because I had duplicates because I saw the movie a lot. And he gave me the Game Shark, so I would I'd just find all these new codes and write them all down. We put them on the website together. We discovered a glitch that if you can try this out in red and blue, and it works. If you're on the bike, if you're riding on the bike in like Victory Road, you know how you have to push you got to push the boulders down the holes and to put them on the switches. if you are on the bike and you ride down a hole in a cave, you'll fall down the hole, the game will put you on the next floor down, you'll be off the bicycle, but the bicycle music will still be playing. Did I mess this up? No, I didn't. Okay. I got too busy talking about the glory days of Pokemon. You go to most people's websites on GeoCities, most Pokemon fan sites back in the day. They're gonna spin you a tall tale of bullshit, telling you that you can push that truck and get Mew underneath it, and they totally did it on their cousin's save file when they visited from New Mexico last year, and they can't prove it, but they totally did it for real. Pinky promise. No, ours were 100% real, 100% legit. We even had a page, like, it wasn't called Mythbusters, because that show would not exist for another half of a decade, but we had, like, a thing where it was, like, the rumor thing. I think there was a website called Team Rockets Rockin', trsrockin.com. They're probably not around anymore, but they actually had a page where they were doing, like, the rumor testing. So, like, they would do this stuff, and they'd be like, okay, so what happens if you go down and you get to the truck and you do strength, and, you know, they would, like, document exactly what happens, and they would put the Game Boy on, like, a scanner, and they would scan it as if it was a picture, and they would be totally washed out, but it would be a real thing, because it was like, this is the game running, and we've done the thing, you can see us right there, and it doesn't do anything. So we did similar stuff. We didn't have access to a scanner like that, but we would, like, look at these rumors and, like, break it down and be like, okay, well, you're not gonna get the Mist Stone to turn Mew into Mew 3. You're not gonna do that, because if you consult our page here, you'll see a comprehensive list of every item in the game and the value for the game shard. None of them are called Mist Stone. And then, you know, of course, we would get, like, not comments, we would get emails you get hate mail from people, angry emails. And they would say something like, well, the one that is just the glitchy symbols, that's actually the Mist Stone, but, you know, it doesn't say that on the name because it's a broken item, it was secret. And we'd be like, no. It's not, because if you go on that page, we actually used those items in battle and stuff, and outside of battle, to tell you what they actually do. And none of them are the Mist Stone, okay? It's not what it is. You can't make this a thing. You cannot will it into existence, okay? Good times. Is this a Sonic? Oh, it's Zelda again. I thought I heard the note motif, the late motif from Lava Reef Zone. See, this is nice music. I can focus to this. This is nice. I like this. yeah, see, in chat, Fandro was like, but those glitch items with no names. No. We tried, and of course back then, you know, there's only so much you could do. Like, there's not really, like, the ability for emulators to, like, decompile or, you know, disassemble the code and see what it actually did. So, like, if we're using the items and It just says, the Professor Oak interjection where he's like, now's not the time to use this. It's like, okay, well, you can't use it. You use it outside of battle, you use it inside of battle. And if Professor Oak yells at you both times, it's like, okay, well, that's not, it doesn't do anything. We also did that with, like, changing the Game Shark numbers to all the different attacks to find out what all the... There's a bunch of glitch attacks and stuff. Most of them break the game. But we also didn't know that, like... Or we didn't have the foresight, or maybe we didn't know the code. But the Game Shark code to make it so that your accuracy hits every time. We didn't know to do that, so that you have these glitch moves and you try to use it and they don't do anything because they miss. And it's because, like, the accuracy is glitched. So it'll be, like, 0.1% chance of ever hitting. So we ain't ever going to see a hit unless you make it hit, and we didn't know to do that. So our page on all the different attacks and stuff like that was a lot less helpful, because we're like, oh, doesn't do anything. Misses all the time. We would try it like, I don't know, 10 or a dozen times. And if we couldn't get anything to happen, we'd be like, okay, next one. I'm bored, next one. You found your old notes on codes when you used the Game Shark Pokemon? Good time. You bought yours with birthday money? Oh, man. Game Sharks were not cheap back then, which is why, like, I traded my buddy those cards, which I guess the joke is on him, because in the end, if he held on to those long enough and sold them, got a lot of money for them. Because nowadays, the Game Shark emulators do that. You don't really need a Game Shark. In 1998, 1999, that's, if you wanted to explore the inner workings of Missing No or whatever, if you wanted to find the Pokegods, you had to have a Game Shark. And again, the original Game Boy Game Shark is still worth some money, as a historical thing, to collectors, but it's not a big ticket item. At least not the way, like, the N64 Game Sharks were. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance Game Sharks go for... That's a weird thing, because, like, I think the reason why the GBA Game Sharks and, like, the Action Replay, those go for so much money specifically because of Pokemon. I think it's because you could use them to, like, genetically... You could pull a Mewtwo and, like, genetically engineer your own Pokemon to have specific stats. Because, like, the GBA and the DS... had the ability to, like, trade those Pokemon into, like, the GameCube games and, like, Pokemon Box, and, like, there's still a way today. Because I think with Generation 1 and 2, it's not possible to get those into 3 and above. Like, if you catch a Pokemon in Red or Blue, you can trade it up into Gold and Silver, but you can't get it any further in the chain, because they restructured, like, the Pokedex and the base code. But on those GBA games, you can catch it on, like, Ruby and Sapphire and work it all the way through the system and literally, like, launder it through multiple checkpoints and software and programs, and in the process, it'll, like, lose some of the flags and information of it having been a cheated Pokemon. So, in the competitive scene, they're important cheat devices to, like, for lack of having skills at the game. It's ridiculous. So that's why those specific devices actually are still cash money. Yeah, no, it's a rabbit hole if you, like, look into it. But it requires, like, because that's the thing, is that, you would have obviously your Action Replay or your Game Boy Advance Game Shark or whatever, and that is just one kind of moving part in the system, because you would also need to have like the cable to, like, link it up to, like, I don't know, Gale of Darkness or whatever, the Coliseum or whatever, like the stadium ones that they made, or like Pokemon Box for the GameCube. I mean, look up the price of that game, even loose. I'm pretty sure that one was only sold at, like, the New York store. It was like a special thing. But, like, it's like once you get it in the system, you can kind of, like, you can sanitize it, because cheating and hacking certain Pokemon will put certain kinds of junk data on it that the other games, like, don't read. So it just gets omitted when it gets traded into those games. Those flags just get turned off or they get reset. So when you trade it into that and then launder it through and then trade it back into the game, suddenly it's kind of a legitimate guy. It's an interesting read. If you think the GBA action replay is expensive because people are trying to get all the A coins in Mario Advance, no. You can use it for that, but... Trying to Game Shark your way into playing all the E stages on Super Mario Bros. 3 because all those e-reader cards never got released over here. If you want to do that, just get the NSO version. It's all built in. That was like, I think I bought like 2 things on the Wii U eShop when it was open. And one of them was Super Mario Advance 4 Super Mario Bros. 3. It's a hell of a name. Because it had the, it was complete. It had all the levels, all the bonus and secret levels already unlocked. Almost done with this godforsaken jacket. And the best part is, I'm going to draw him a second time, so... In my seasoned age, I've kind of grown to like more of the Pokemon from the series. Because that's the thing, is I was never really a big fan of the games. I don't like the games, actually. I'm not. It's like they're like JRPGs. I'm not a JRPG guy. I like the character design, and then I also liked how broken the games were. Like I said, we had that whole website devoted just to doing all the glitches and codes and Game Shark stuff. So in that time, I'm like, yeah, you know, Blastoise is all right. Articuno's alright. Kangaskhan's alright. I think at the time, you know, 1998, right? My favorite Pokemon at the time was Mewtwo. Because I was like, he's the guy that's in, like, I guess it's called the Cerulean Cave. I swear to God, this is a Nelson Mandela alert, okay? That place was called the Unknown Dungeon. I swear to God it was called the Unknown Dungeon. I have not been able to find any documentation of it being called. I don't know where I got that name. Because I think it's a translation thing. I'm pretty sure in, like, Red and Green, the original ones, I think it was called that. But it did eventually canonically become Cerulean Cave. And I was like, it must have been in the guides that came with Nintendo Power, you know, the Pokemon Power guides. And I still have those. So I went and cracked them open. And it just says Cerulean Cave. I'm like, dude, did this change? Like, did I actually cross timelines? Because I swear to you, how do I know the name Unknown Dungeon? Where did I hear it? Uh, so, but I think I don't know where I read that name, but it's just a funny thing because he's down, Mewtwo's down in there, so it's a really hard, super challenging thing, and he's then you find in the mansion that's all burned out on Cinnabar Island. There's all like the stories of like all the experiments and everything and what happened over there and blah 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 blah. So it's like, oh cool, he's like a tormented, tortured soul. He's like an evil. He's a bad guy. And then the movie came out. I was like, oh yeah, he's cool. He's a bad guy. And he's a pussy at the end, but he's a cool bad guy. All right, I'm gonna do the hem of this shirt, or the collar, I guess. I keep saying hem. I'm not a seamstress. I don't know these things. Yeah, see, is that from Bulbapedia? It was the literal translation. The Cerulean Cave, introduced as the Unknown Dungeon, or Nameless Cave, is a cave located in the northwest corner. So that was the literal translation. So see, I'm not crazy. It was called that. I just don't know where I heard that, because for a while I was trying to fact check that. I was trying to validate that so people didn't think I was lying to them. And I couldn't find any documentation of it being called that. I was like, what? It's made me feel crazy. I know I'm not crazy. Okay. So, that's the jacket. It doesn't look bad. It looks alright. Let's see. I would like to do some of the shading. I could do some of the details on the clothing here. Some of that. I'm trying to figure... Ooh, whoops. Uh-oh. Drop my marker. I guess there are some places where I can make some shadows. Like right here, up in here, under the arms. Maybe not do too much shading on the flannel, because that'll kind of mess it up a little bit. But I'll do a little bit. Because, we're kind of getting close to the point of being done. Oh yeah, that was the Gen 2 leaks from the Giga Leak or whatever, because they had like the old Gen 2 starter mons and all that, and the beta stuff, and Gorachu and things like that. Yeah, the Space World prototype. That was pretty cool. I remember there was like all those things like from the anime, because like the Pokemon anime, what's really weird about that is, a lot of people don't know this, is that it was one of those things that was back when like regional TV stations were still a thing. So it was picked up, I think, by the WB, Kids WB, whatever channel that was on at the time. So like if your home network, whatever, like if your cable package didn't have an affiliate that signed up, that like opted into the Pokemon stuff, you just didn't see it. Like here, we didn't have it. My friend that I went to high school with, or that I grew up with, that, we did the Pika's Poke Palace thing, his grandma, who lived like elsewhere in the country, like further up in the state, she would record Pokemon on videotape and like mail him the tapes, the physical tapes, and that's how we would watch it. So there were like entire sections of the population and fans of the game that like never ever saw the anime or the cartoons or anything for the longest time. So like whenever there would be like glitches or like rumors or Pokegods of like Diamond Onyx and like Venustoise and things like that, which were things from the cartoon, but you had never seen the cartoon, you're like, but then you see a picture of it online, it's like, what the hell is this? That's clearly that's got to be a thing, right? It's got to be real. Do you think someone would just go on the internet and tell lies? But yeah, it was kind of strange that like there was these things that were ostensibly like part of the game that you would just not know about and never see because people would. It was really easy to kind of force that through as like a thing that existed. You couldn't really prove it because it's like, well, shit. Have you seen the cartoon? No, they don't have it on TV here. But yeah, like, you know, nowadays we kind of live in an era where, like, just anybody, if there's something on TV, you just stream it, you know. And for the longest time, everything was kind of just, channels would get absorbed and bought out, and their catalogs merged and everything else, and it was a lot easier just to watch whatever you wanted to watch. But yeah, back in the day, like, some people, I never got, the only reason I got to watch the Pokemon show was because my friend's grandma recorded it for him, which is crazy. Here, Tetris. I think that's good for shading on the clothes. You know, like I said, it's because we did the hatching to kind of imply a lot of the patterns on the fabric, and everything is only, you know, black and white. So I don't want to do too much with it. So we'll kind of leave it at that. Legendary grandma. Kids these days don't know the struggle. They don't. They genuinely don't. You know, they will never know the struggle of, like, what do you mean we don't have that channel in this area? Like, that's why, like, TBS, like WGN, did that become the WB channel? Like CWB or whatever? I don't know what it's called. The CW? Because, like, TBS, Turner Broadcasting Station, and WGN, which I don't remember what that stands for, those were called superstations because those began as affiliates, and they started buying up so many other channels that they were able to get, like, nationally syndicated and included in, like, major cable packages. So the term superstation was a thing, a distinct thing for, you know, referring to a specific kind of TV channel. And it's just not a thing anymore now because now there's 5,000 channels and there's nothing to watch on any of them. If everybody's a superstation, then nobody is. One of your classmates in high school borrowed your card captor's tape and never returned it. Kids these days won't know that struggle either. Like, that's, I don't know, man. I feel like this is like boomer me. This is like my slightly late Gen X, I guess early millennial, depending on how you want to define that goalpost. It's like, I remember a time when if you wanted to see a TV show, like, you had to be home, like, at that time. Or if you had a VCR, you better first of all, make sure the clock isn't flashing 12, and then program it to record that show. Because if you're not there to watch it, you missed it. Like, that was it. If you didn't catch that when it aired, there's a chance you, like, I mean, these days everything is on DVD and streaming and everything else now, so whatever. You can watch it now. I can go back and watch Rescue Rangers anytime I want, but, like, as a kid, if you missed it, and then, like, when they just took, like, Tiny Toons off the air, that was it. That was it. If you didn't tape those episodes, in the mindset at the time, if you didn't have those taped, you were never going to see it again. Unless they just put it back on TV. Like that's like a crazy, that is a crazy, crazy thought. And then there are shows that were like that, that were on TV back then that they've never been on a streaming service or anything like that, so they might as well still be lost because nobody taped them. Nobody taped them, so nobody ripped the tapes to put online. It's just kind of weird that thinking like how things can just disappear forever like that. It's kind of scary in a way, I don't know. It's like the Cerulean Cave. I know it existed. I saw it. I've seen it. And I can't produce proof that it's real. Like there is a thing I have not been able to find. Speaking of this, here's a rabbit hole for you. Cartoon Network in the 90s had a thing. It was like a contest or something where you could like take over the channel for a day, and a kid won it. His name was Ozzy. I think it was Ozzy. I don't think it was IE. And he it was like they flew him out to the studio and they filmed some little spots of them and stuff like that. And for the whole day, maybe most of the waking hours of the day, he video DJ'd the channel. Some little kid. He was like a black kid. He was like 8 or 9 years old or something. And the broadcasting thing said Ozzy takes over. There's no record of that. Blame it on Jorge, El Supersonic Q. Look it up. Lost Media Wiki doesn't have a page about it. I know it's real. I saw it happen. I didn't hallucinate it. But there's no record of that. It's not a thing. Unless it's a thing now. In the years that have followed, somebody's made somebody else remembers that. I remember looking for it. This was years and years ago. I remember looking for it and I couldn't find anything. So. This marker's getting kind of mad at me for drawing this. Okay. You know what I realized? You can't see him anymore, but I still need to hit the pencil lines on the flannel. It looks pretty good. I decided not to do the scale. I feel like if I was trying to draw the scale stuff, maybe it would clash with, I don't know. I could try it I could try it in pencil real quick. It's already a little bit past 9 though. I usually only stream for a couple of hours. It's not a hard limit. I just don't want to keep everybody here. It's a Saturday night. What are you all alone on a Saturday? You're pathetic. That Sonic meme. Yeah, so yeah, the little the idents and stuff is what you're talking about, Fanjamon, where like they'd have the voice actors come on and be like, "Hi, I'm Yugi, and you're watching Fox Kids," you know, whatever it was. Comedy Central did that a lot too with everybody who was on that channel at the time. Like Penn Jillette voiced all the things, and like Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan did spots. Like if you had a show on the network at the time in like the 90s and they did a little ident, little bumper with you. He looks dehydrated because of the... damn it, it's not eyeshadow. It's just... I mean, it's eye shadow. 2 words. Spaced. Oh, whoops. Oh, wait, so they would do, like, they would cut idents where they would say, like, facts about the Digimon that was, like, never corroborated anywhere else? That's like those things where, that's like how Dr. Robotnik is Eggman now in the Sonic universe, because, like, in, like, Princess Toadstool and Peach are the same character, but it's different names because, like, of how it was localized. And then they decided that they were just gonna, like... They were going to combine the localizations, you know, for ease of marketing and all that. So, yeah, there's this character that you've known under this name for a while. Okay, well, her name is actually this. Deal with it. It is cool that like that they would have things they would like talk to him between the. I remember like there was a show on Cartoon Network that was called JBVO, and it was like a fake call-in show. It was all pre-taped, but it was hosted by Johnny Bravo, the voice actor who does Johnny Bravo, in character as Johnny Bravo. It was animated, of course. So it was like a radio show, and he would call in. Apparently, there's like a thing where you could like request anything that was in Cartoon Network's tape library, and like you were supposed to request, you know, an episode of the Powerpuff Girls or something, because that was you know, it's like 15 minutes, right? You can fit 2 of them in a single time slot. And apparently there's like a lost media episode of JBVO where like some kid called in, he was a smartass. He's like, can I see Dragon Ball Z? And so Dragon Ball Z is a 22-minute show. It's too long for the time slot. So to make the episode work, they apparently they just played, they killed the audio and they played the entire episode at 2 times speed. And the Johnny Bravo voice actor was like riffing on it like Mystery Science Theater. Apparently that's like lost media. I would kind of want to see that. That sounds funny, you know. Does it feel like, because I was going to say, you know, doing the erasing and stuff like that, I was going to maybe draw, like, scales on his head or something, but I was like, I don't know. You know, because usually, like, dinosaurs, they also have, like, the neck is a different color than the, you know, the rest of the head or whatever, but it's like, I feel like if I were to draw, like, try to draw, like, some of the scales or something, it would maybe... Would just look weird, maybe? I don't know. Let me... I don't. Again, I'm gonna say my line here. Say the line, Bart. I don't hate it. maybe I don't know. It seems like. What's I gonna say? It just kind of seems like a double-edged sword. That maybe if I draw that, they'll look like scabs or something. You know. That's the one thing I'm worried about. I'm just kind of nervous about making a. Do I commit to it? Yeah, I think I will. You know what? YOLO. I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. Tell you what, if it looks bad, I'll Photoshop it out. Sorry, Photoshop is not a verb. I don't want Adobe to lose it to trademark genericide. I will digitally enhance the photo using Adobe Photoshop trademark product. It looks fine. It doesn't really look weird. You can tell. I mean, you know it's a dinosaur, so you know he's gonna have kind of that scaly pattern skin. So it doesn't look all that bad. It looks fine. Right? It looks fine. Do a couple more of these down here maybe to kind of tie it together. See? Add a couple of little extra lines here coming off to. That's the thing, is that's also part of the illusion, is that when you draw the make-believe bricks, you also have to draw a couple of lines coming off that aren't terminated correctly so that the brain kind of sees that and fills in the pattern themselves. Okay, so, okay. Here's the world. Wow, it's a pretty good world. Keeping in that same line of thought, I am tired. So I think that's good for now. I got the guy here, and then I definitely do think you know what I could do is that since this is kind of a closer picture, I was thinking maybe on this one I could maybe draw more of the body, maybe down to like the knees, past the waist or something, and just have like a different. That way he's not covering up too much. You know what I mean? That works. I like it. I haven't seen this guy. It's like, you know, I haven't seen him in 20-something years. It feels like it's just been, it's like yesterday. I like it. I'm not going to sign this one yet because, of course, it's not done. So I'm going to hold off on that. And next week we'll do the, I guess I don't need that anymore. Whoops. There goes my, I got to find a better place to put my drawing utensils so they don't get knocked off when I'm erasing stuff. So yeah, I'll bookend it here, dog-ear it here, and that's also a pencil line. Let me get these two. We'll bookend things here, and then you know, next week I'll do the other half of this. I'll do a different one. Him, you know, kind of looking up here. I think this first half came out really well. I'm actually kind of proud of it. I think the clothing came out pretty good too. So thank you, everyone, for coming out, hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it. The night is still young. It's only 9:20. So, you know, go forth and, I don't know, kill some time on YouTube. Make a late dinner. Order a pizza. You know, have something fun. Treat yourself, right? It's Saturday. The night and the weekend are young, okay? So thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. I love you. I'll see you next time, and I'll do the other half of this, and I'll figure out maybe I'll sign it down here, or I'll find a place to sign it that's not covering up all the stuff. So good night. I love you, and I'll see you next Saturday.